Greetings, Marv Gardens here, reporting in for this Friday day. How's everybody doing? And on a positive TGI Friday note, we will be talking about males and females, and what we are going to be drawing together today is the sciences behind them. Now, we'll start with males. The science of the male is rationalism. The reason why it's rationalism is because every male pursuit revolves around your ability to master the skill. If you cannot rationalize, you cannot acquire. And if you can't understand this simple relationship, you will understand why people don't have nothing. Now, rationalization is never a simple pursuit, because rationalizing 1 plus 1 to get you the same thing that everybody else gets when they rationalize 1 plus 1. And that's just the general principle behind it. In order to stand out in the male world, you must rationalize your way to something. And that may sound easier said than done. However, think about it this way. If somebody told you there was an easy path, how many other people you think they told that to? And if you can do this simple experiment, then you can understand why being a male is a long, arduous journey, because you must figure out how to win your way, not anybody else's way, your way. Now, this may be easier for some, harder for others, but all in all, every male will struggle to rationalize. And why males struggle to rationalize is because you must balance a female with this rationalization. And as we know, societal logic does not always rationalize, because if it did, it wouldn't be society. Now, it can be a daunting task to think about the idea that society and logic don't always see eye to eye. However, life exists, reality exists, things move on. The world does not stop for any one person. So, with that said, I feel like that is the hardest equation that any male tries to figure out. How do you add your stuff to a female stuff and make everything equalize out? And some people tend to think that this is not really a problem. This is more of me going back to the 1 plus 1 thing. However, as we all know, all females aren't the same, and we'll get into that. But first, we must identify the female science, which is aesthetics. Now, if you don't know what aesthetics is, get you a dictionary or a dictionary app. So, aesthetics for females leads them to get very, very, very complicated. And I say complicated because they are a what you would call artistic or innate, just things relating to frivolousness. I like that word, frivolousness. And the reason why females are frivolous is because that is their science. In order to understand this, society has a lot of not stupid, but irrational, essentially, industries. And it's not my job to decide which is rational, which is irrational. But if you were talking about a purely efficient society, then you can see how females can contradict this. However, on the other hand, because we are not a purely rational society, society has a dynamic character versus a static character. And as we all know, at the end of the day, if you could laugh, then you didn't just then life that then time was spent well. I butchered that, but it's okay. Uh, uh, and it can, when you think about aesthetics in its truest form, you can understand why trying to rationalize aesthetics can be very, very annoying. Now, the reason why it's annoying is because it's like the two sides of the road analogy. Except, I forgot to mention the chicken. Why did the chicken cross the side of the road? That old joke, right? The problem is in this scenario, he didn't cross the side of the road. He tried to bring both sides of the road to the middle, and that's essentially explains the balancing of aesthetics and logic. Now, you can understand why, physically speaking, ironically speaking, bringing two sides of the road of a road would be impossible. However, if you get really rational with it, then you can bring two sides of a road together in the form of a boundary. There we go. And how that works is that if you keep deleting the area between the two, you'll get to a point where they intersect. However, they still remain independent boundaries. And that type of logic is why the situation is very annoying at times, because if you do not understand that bringing any one side can cause problems, then you can see why a lot of people end up in divorces or end up it's most people say divorce is bad, but divorce is just a reason for redemption. I feel like the females that get lost in dating and all that other stuff, those are females that get trapped because they have no those years where you spend essentially trying to do the thing, trying to say, I had somebody propose to me, yada yada yada. Those are the hard years because it's easy. This may sound crazy, but it's easier to jump into a marriage and then get out versus trying to wait for the perfect marriage, where a lot of females fail at. Because by saying that you've already done it, then it will be easy. It's easier to basically get with someone who's you're basically experiencing marriage by dating somebody who's already been in a marriage. I know I'm probably talking like I already done this. I haven't, but let me explain. It's easier to be in a relationship with somebody who's already been married because it's like being in marriage before you actually do all the extra stuff. Now, what that means is that you will not have the jitter, all that other stuff that other marriages have, that first time experience. However, you will have a much larger probability of succeeding in your marriage. Now, if your marriage does not work, it doesn't matter. It's funny how marriage can turn into dating, but it's a much better form of dating because both sides, or if it's the female who's basically the marriage the marriage veteran versus the dating veteran. If the female is the marriage veteran, then she's not gonna lie to you. She's not gonna sugarcoat it because she knows that time is money. And the reason why time is money, because it's better to get it over with, to force your hand to basically say, do this or I'm leaving, than to be like, I'll wait for you whenever you're comfortable. Now, this may not apply to every female, but it is a word of advice. Now, for the male, if this is very unorthodox. Never expect a male to be in a situation. If a male is the marriage veteran, then he has a very special place because he can put females in a position where he can stall them out. And the reason why he can stall them out is because he doesn't want to come off as basically trying to rush a female into a marriage. Now, this is how I feel like it works better when a male is the marriage veteran, because if you can force a female's hand into a marriage, worst case scenario, it doesn't work out, then you've already given her more than she could ever admit that you did for her. Because now that she's a marriage veteran, she knows what to expect. She knows what to do. She knows what to say. She knows how to act. All of this stuff that you don't get if you stuck playing awkward dating. And the reason why I call it awkward dating is because it's like you've forgotten that you're just two people. And as two people, information is going to be withheld. People are going to put their best forward. People are going to tell you things to get your ear puffy. It's you're better off if you are not the marriage veteran and you're female. You're better off jumping into a marriage just to see what happens. If you're a male, this may also be plausible, but not really, because the idea is that males, once you make that commitment, you are subject to what you would call obligatory marriage. And the reason why you call it obligatory marriage is because you've basically been leveraged into a permanent boyfriend situation. So if you try anything on purpose to end your marriage, then it looks more like a resume versus an experience. And as we all know, the last thing you want on a resume is a bad mark. Now, this is why I say, males are versus males and females on this topic. Females definitely have the advantage. Now, we're not going back to advantages and all that stuff. I'm just weighing the odds here. This is why I'm saying, let me explain, because obviously I've never been married. But how this works is that females, when they're the marriage veteran, they can at any time decide to get a divorce or whatever, because the idea is that they are not obligated to do anything. However, they are basically pressured to do something, and that's how that works out. And because we understand that females are pressured to do something, they can't. They're allowed to renege. Males, on the other hand, are not pressured to do anything. If a male decides to not want to be a bachelor, essentially, for the rest of his life, he's entitled to. Because the idea is that there's a lot of marriages out there, but there's only a handful of good ones. Now, I can in order to keep this conversation not turning into a joke, I'm going to explain how I'm explaining this. Now, I don't have any marriage experience, but like I said, and probably mentioned this before, I've dealt with females, and I deal with females in a specific way, I can definitely bring out the Pepe Le Pew in a relationship. If you don't know who Pepe Le Pew is, look it up on the internet. He's an interesting cartoon character, very funny, very realistic. Um, and it does add detail to who I am. So the reason why that works out is because you would expect females to think you don't care. So when you're dealing with somebody that cares too much, you can burn them out pretty quickly, and that's how that works out. Now, this is not to give you an advice to burn a female out. I don't recommend that. However, I feel like if you wish to learn your female very quickly, you should burn her out in order to get a feel for who she's dealing with. Never do that just to be like, I don't want a girlfriend anymore. That's terrible. Don't do that. um, and the marriage. Oh yeah, the reason why it takes rationalism for a male to get married is because he needs to understand that that marriage encourages other commitments. Now, the reason why marriage encourages other commitments is because at some point or another, a female may ask you to do something and not explain anything to you. And if you ask for details, then you've already lost the battle, because by definition, trust implies that you don't need to be informed, because information is for people who are suspicious or paranoid. Now, females, on the other hand, they are not obligated to follow orders. However, they are obligated to get straight to the point, depending on the situation. Now, I say depending on the situation is because a female who doesn't understand what it means to be in a relationship is going to bide her time in terms of what you would call marriage planning. Now, the reason why I said it like that is because you plan life and look what happened. You can't plan marriage. So females often make that mistake. I definitely see that, where they essentially they're scared to get married, but they would take the opportunity. Now, that's just I feel like the reason why is because, going back to my rationalism, they have a what you would call a fantasy view of marriage. Now, I say it's a fantasy view of marriage because if you based your idea off of marriage off of your parents or somebody who's not you, then you've already played yourself, because your parents has been talking to each other for a lot longer than you probably even been alive, to be honest with you. So for you to look at them as your perfect marriage, it's like, what are you doing? You can't live like your parents live from the starting spot. You have to work your way to that. And I feel like females don't get this. More so, there's a lot of expense associated with marriage. And that's another problem, because that just goes into marriage planning. You got females that have this prom idea of marriage when you don't need a prom or idea of marriage. You just need that crash course. Now, it may work for you, it may not work for you. This is me applying a rationalized perspective to it, because I look at marriage as an efficiency thing. The more times I get married, the faster I'm gonna get to where I need to get to. And that's just my logic on it. Now females, they take that aesthetic point of view and say that marriage is a sacred thing. I'm not gonna argue with them, but don't wait for the glass slipper is what I'm saying. Because if you're not even familiar with your own shoe size, how are you gonna say I want the glass slipper? Now, I guess I'm talking to a brick wall here because I'm not even a female. I'm talking about these things. However, I feel like at this point, given my background, I feel like a justified advisor, or preferably I want to be an information broker. That was always been my dream, is to be an information broker, but people don't understand that advice can be an investment. Anyway, the reason you have to crash course marriage is that if you try to find out the easiest way to get married versus how everybody else gets married, then you have the hard part away. Once you're able to find a certified marriage practitioner, and you can say that you're married just to say that you're married, you can try it out. Now, the reason why people think that this sounds stupid is because, once you say that you're married, you assume that you will be living with your partner and yada yada yada. However, that's the whole point. Take the glass slipper out of the marriage. Because the reason why I'm even harping on this point is because the fiance things played out. The engagement things played out. Get married or start pretending. Get married or start pretending. Get married or start pretending. And I feel like a lot of people like to pretend is because the male doesn't know how to rationalize his female's glass slipper analogy. And like I said, rationalization is a process for everybody. Well, for all males, excuse me. And the reason why it is because if you devise a method that works, you'll make your female a lot happier than trying to use aesthetics that you don't understand. Now, the reason why I even say engagement is played out is because you could have already been married, and then you figure out what do you do after you get married. And the reason why you do this is because marriage is going to do one of two things. It's either going to make you realize this was a great idea or this was a terrible mistake. And that's how that works out. Because, I've I've watched some couple of females talk. I've talked about this in a previous video about females who prefer to wait till marriage before they fornicate, right? However, what you're missing is that you've did all of this work to get married just to figure out that all of it was a waste because you spent that much time waiting to get an answer. When you meet somebody, you don't have an answer. When you decide to get married, you still don't have an answer. Once you decide to figure out what your partner does after they get what they want, that is the beauty of marriage. That is how you figure out whether you have a monk or whether you have a fallen monk. And for females, that can be very risky because they play this marriage game so stupid. And the reason why I say that is because you can't just say, bump it. I get married, I'm throwing all my chips into this guy, bump it. And you know, that may be a good leverage strategy. However, you gotta understand that all males aren't the same. And as far as rationalization goes, that's just a totally different monster. So if they feel like you disposable, then you're gonna see what happens when you're disposable. And you know, a lot of females don't know how to deal with this because they've already created in their mind that aesthetic of marriage, and it can't fail in their head. However, that just points to what I was saying about males being rational. A male is going to rationalize plan A, B, and C. If females were using rationalization, they wouldn't even bother with aesthetics. And the fact that they bother with aesthetics means they choose to use logic in a different way. Whether that way is wrong or right is not my position to say. However, you can advise on both sides. You can advise somebody who's considering options what's the best option. You can advise a female who's considering what the perfect life is to tailor it to a realistic scenario. And I say realistic in the sense that certain things must be established before you can establish the perfect scenario. And in order to even begin working on a perfect scenario, you need to be dealing with people. And then once you start dealing with people, you need to get serious really quickly. And the reason why you need to get serious really quickly is because you'll get your answer. And I feel like a lot of females don't get this. They'll wait it out depending on whoever they're with. They'll take the L and basically, you know, be patient and all this other stuff. And I'm like, every female that has met their male, their partner who did what they want was aggressive about it. They did not for the most part succumb to male rationalism. Now this may sound crazy because you got a lot of females, you know, you got the Florida girls, you got the Cali girls, you got the, you know, the beach girls and stuff that you wouldn't expect to have this mentality, but they do. No matter what female, whether you think she a gold digger, whether you think she a hoe, whether you think that she just a trife wife, they all use the same aesthetics. And they all developed mechanisms that help them sort out who's going to be that short answer to their aesthetics. That's why you get these females like the gold digger, the hoe, the trife wife. They all are filtering for the things that normally will be opaque to figure out. If you busy, you playing a nice guy, you talking with a male, you letting him bull, you know, just basically talk the talk. And you know, in reality, you don't even gotta be doing that. Females are the only creatures in our society in the world, really, when you think about it, that can pursue aggressive policies and get results every time. Because I don't think any male in their right mind is going to complain if a female walks up to them, or they run into a female, or they go outside, or they be outside, and a female is trying to talk to them. Like, what are they going to say? Don't talk to me. I don't want to be. Huh? Huh? The worst thing he could say is he got a girlfriend. That's the worst thing he could say. Or he gets scared and lie and be like, I don't know. And even then, that's one person. But you know, this is a this I can see how females would be like, no, because this is a rationalism perspective. This takes away the magical, the fantastic side of dealing with people. Now, the problem with that is that this is real life. And though aesthetics make real life a lot more comfortable, life can get really uncomfortable if aesthetics don't work out. Now, this is not to wish anything on any female, because I'm the last guy that's gonna be trying to be like, I hope that female don't get married or yada. We ain't having that. My reputation will not be tarnished. What I'm trying to say is that if you really want marriage like you think you do, then go to extraneous, what you call it. Be serious about it. Even if you come off goofy, even if you come off desperate, even if you come off stupid, always, 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 always pursue what you want in real life, not in your head. And that's where a lot of people fail. Now, going back to Miles. Miles. We walk a different path. Yes, we do. And the reason why we walk a different path is because rationalizing a female is about as impossible as it gets. Now, most males give up on this process, and it works. You let a female, essentially aesthetic you. It works. You'll get the female, guaranteed. However, I feel like every male can agree on this. When you come up with a plan and it works, but especially with a female, and you know, I can't really. There's so many different males out here. I can't really say I'm giving you advice. Now, what I can say I'm giving you though is the what you would call the mold, right? Now the mold is female, correct? Hopefully. If she not, same thing. But you know, the idea is that you come up with a plan, get a gun. For you more ambitious folks out there that think you're gonna have two females under the same roof, good luck. But you know, this male problem that we are all born with is that we have to think in a world that doesn't use brains. And I say it doesn't use brains because real life, as we know, doesn't function as we want it to, as we perceive it to. The sun is going to come up. It's always going to be around. The moon is going to always be around. The rain don't wait for you to be like, okay, I'm prepared for rain. It's going to rain. The snow don't prepare for you. The you know, heat don't prepare for you. Heat don't, oh, I'm sorry. Is it too hot outside? I'll get a little colder. No, it don't work like that. And you know, this can be very this discouraging for a truly rational male, because if you're comfortable thinking on your feet, then the world is gonna always be unstable ground for you. And if you're not, and if you're under the impression you don't think on your feet, or you take a way to cross that bridge scenario, well, you still gonna have to end up thinking anyway, sucker. So you ain't so smart. So you know, I feel like for you, you have to understand that you can't hold back any ideas. You can't hold back any concepts. If you want a female, you must really be honest with you. You want a female, you must be able and willing to jump through any hoop necessary, because in a purely rational sense, there are no variables for getting a female. And the reason why I say that is because females are, like I said, aesthetically bound. So they're already gonna have their biases to whatever you're trying to do. So the last thing you want to do is introduce your own variables, thinking you need this, thinking you need that. Reality, you bring yourself to every presentation and you'll get a buy. And that's just the reality of it, man. And I feel like a lot of males are going to suffer for this, because it's a daunting task. Failure sucks, man. Failure sucks. That's the hard reality of the male life. Failure sucks. Nobody wants to fail. Everybody wants to win. And you can't rationalize failure, because the idea is that once you put a person into that variable, you've already forgotten something. There is a line of thinking that can't be standardized. You can't say, oh, female this, female that, because females can decide. You don't know what that female was thinking. She could have decided, I'm gonna wake up today and I ain't saying nothing to nobody. And you'll never know because you wasn't there. Likewise, you can run into a female and she feel like talking to everybody. So as a rationalizing male, you'll always find yourself a sucker for probability, man. And the reason why you a sucker for probability is because people are not probable, and yet you'll always get mixed results. I feel like I'm saying a lot of quotes today. Anyway, even applying this to myself, because that's the first example that a rationalizing male is going to expect you to do. Apply yourself to this logic. Now, if I know my females well, then I already know I'm gonna have a lot of trouble. And the reason why is because you have to understand that aesthetics is by definition extra. So if your normal workload is extra, whatever she feel like making you do after that is why your life is gonna turn into misery. Because every male thinks this. This is stupid. Why am I doing this for one female? And the idea is that if you rationalize the situation out, you're not doing it for a female, you're doing it for yourself. You didn't talk to her because you decided, I'm going to make a female learn my name today. No, you did it because you're a male and instincts told you to pounce. Now, what this means is that depending on how hard you pounce, you may get a flesh wound, or you may get the kill. Now, there's also the opportunity that she may get away. But to be honest with you, it's to your advantage to know sooner than later, because aesthetics, ironically, is a simple process. Aesthetics will always, on a process to process situation, think faster. And technically that makes it more efficient. However, we'll leave that for debate, because can't aesthetics is very limited in its scope, because it is a focused form of thinking. That's why it's easy to make decisions. When you focus, it's like focusing on one task versus trying to multitask. You'll always be good at focusing on one task better than anybody who's trying to do your task and another task and yada yada yada. Now, what this means is that, rationally speaking, you should be focusing. However, you must understand that aesthetics is fast processing. So, logically speaking, you should be multitasking. However, out of respect for aesthetics, you're obligated to focus. Now, what this means is that, depending on what you're after, more importantly, you shouldn't even you shouldn't even get to what you're after. You should get to what she got. And I feel like that's the lost logic here, because it would be cool if you could hold hands with everybody in the world and sing Kumbaya. In reality, you can't do that. No, that doesn't mean it's the end of the world. That just means that the world is a very, 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 well, not a small place. It's a very large place. But it just has small people. So you can get the spatial relations, right? Somebody close to you may in reality be very far away, depending on how good your perspective is. And that just means that the rationalism perspective is always going to be experience based, whereas aesthetics doesn't rely on experience, or really comprehends experience. It doesn't, because by definition, you don't need experience, you need your dream. It's like people who say, I know where I want to go, versus people who say, I know how to get there. Now, that doesn't mean neither person is more fortuitous of getting there. It just means that there are wide aims and there are close aims. Now, neither one is going to be dominant, because you could try to get close to every person you meet. Likewise, you can try to keep everybody you meet at a distance. Either way, you're going to find yourself depending on what you prefer. Now, in order to reconcile rationalism and aesthetics, you must ask yourself this. If I know what a female has, then I should know how she should respond. And if you know how she should respond, then you can never lose a battle. And I say lose a battle because you should understand that knowing is already half the battle.
The reason why they say is half the battle is because if you put yourself in a situation where you don't know what's going on, you'll never know if you really won or lost, by definition.
So, in order to avoid any further analogies, the chances of a female saying yes or no are purely dictative upon your ability to deduce what she got. Now, you shouldn't think of people as property or as a dollar sign or as a number. However, I feel like that rationalism in males is a very important skill. You should be able to gouge a female without needing to overly compensate her or make her feel uncomfortable. Now, the reason why I say this is because, like I said, aesthetics is fast, very fast. So the answer to your question is already formulated. Now, this can turn into a very dubious task because some females prefer to say maybe, right? Better than a no, not as good as a yes. Now, what you do with those females is up to you. I'm not gonna tell you what I would do because this is not about what I would do. We're talking about males and females in general. So, when you've decided how to navigate these situations, then you can understand how it can be fun or rather easy to rationalize females the correct way. Now, females are, you know, since they are aesthetically bound in their thinking, you shouldn't really expect them to do anything out of the ordinary. And that just goes to show that you can essentially break a female down by her simple habits. And this ain't no Discovery Channel stuff. This is me basically saying dating is stupid. And the reason why I say dating is stupid is because by time you done joking around with this date, by time you done put your energy on both sides to play around with whatever you're trying to do, you could have already moved on and found somebody else. Or started something new with somebody else. And I feel like that's the bad habit of dating. It is like encouraging procrastinating. And as you've learned in school, it's not good to procrastinate. It's never a good idea to procrastinate. And if you don't get that, then try not to procrastinate. And see how you feel when you realize all your work is done. That's what you would call good marriage. When all your work is done and you could just sit back and be like, I should be doing something right now, but I already did it. Now, this is a very critique. This is a very critical critique I just made. However, you know, I have my reasons. I mean, I don't really need to give you an excuse. I don't need to give you a bad example. I don't need to do anything that might try to bias you against your own instincts. Just saying that females are simple and males try things not so simple. And you know, you don't have to buy into either. But if you understand that you do, then never get mad with your lack of results. And I feel like that's a problem that's a sarcasm really. Like you people never thought you probably never thought that you could sarcasm yourself, but you can. And it happens every time. You got the females that feel like they don't need to be bothered. You got the males that feel like, they got it all figured out. And neither side is getting anywhere. Once you've decided to cut the other gender off and interact with nobody on a I use you, you use me level, you've played yourself. You've lost the battle. It's over. And this is counterintuitive to both sides, because if I'm a female and I've decided that I don't need a partner in general, then you've already taken away the whole purpose of aesthetic thinking. If you're a male and you've decided that I don't need to deal with females, then you've already deduced yourself out of deduction. Meaning, your whole mindset is useless now because you don't have anything else to work with. Females was your main specimen population. Any other scientific word that means that was your work, and you decided I don't want to do work anymore. Now, in order to remain the objective thought here, you don't have to deduce yourself as an excuse. Never say I can't talk to a female because yada yada yada. It's better off to let her make these decisions versus letting you make the decisions, because you need a variable that you can't affect. That's the whole point of the female. The variable that you can't affect. Females, on the other hand, you have to use males as road, basically. And how you use them as road is failure just gives you ground to stand on. Well, actually, you're not really standing on it, because you have to work your way into figuring out what this male can do for you. And that's how you're laying them on a roll. And as you're laying them on a roll, you're progressing as well. And this is why it can be very fast for females to essentially get that situation that they want, because, well, for the females that are characterized as using people, because they already know what to do. They already know what to look for, and they already know how to act. And I'm gonna leave it at that. All in all, females, stay focused. Males, think wisely. Thank you for listening. Now shout outs. Shout out to Juanita Hooper, Shamia Skinner, Chris Vasquez, and my mans with the unspoken identity, man. Hope I see you in the mall so you can remember, man. Word up. Anonymous patrons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You guys are the seeds of this operation. You have allowed me to begin my sprouting, and I am about to experience a rather large growth spurt. In a couple of days, I will reach my 24-hour mark. In a couple of days, I will be putting out 2 videos a day, an hour each, shouting out my supporters twice in an hour, twice a day now. Twice a day later. In a couple of days, I will have a product. I'll probably make it to Saturday with it, in which I will essentially have a I don't know what to call it. A doohickey that's not on the market. But with that in mind, TGI Friday, and that's it.